Hello everyone, this is Money Mom. Welcome to the channel. Today I want to chat with you guys about some things that Americans can no longer afford. Let's get started and talk about it. And one of these things I'm about to share, the prices in the last 20 years have gone up over 700%. Now that is crazy. And I know some of these things you've heard before, but I did my research before I did the video. So this is just today's research that I did. Okay. The average used car right now, it's actually gone up a little bit since my last research. It's gone up about 5%. The average new car costs right around $25,000. Now there are people that can get it lower than that. It depends on many factors. So your average payment may be right around $391. Now, obviously, it depends where you live and a lot of factors. Now, that's on a used car, and I don't know if that's gently used. I know that about 10 years ago, that it was around $15,000. So it's definitely gone up in the last 10 years. And, many people can't afford those kind of payments, or they can't afford the insurance and the payments, because car insurance now is right around, I'm going to give an estimate, around $200 to $225 a month for full coverage insurance. And that depends too what age and all of that stuff. But most people I know are paying $200 to $225. And most people that I know also, I know one person right now, their car payment's $830 a month. Now that's on a new car, but God, I don't know how they can do it. But anyway, so also I did some research and drove around our neighborhood, and it just shocks me. The homes around our neighborhood, and I'm going to tell you something right now. These homes are built like in the 1960s. Are they nice? I'm not saying they're horrible, but they're not anything to look at all. I remember when I moved to Dallas, Texas, you could get like a house that looked like a mansion for this price. And these houses are very lower middle class. I live in a lower middle class neighborhood. And these homes in a lower middle class neighborhood are going for $295,000 to $306,000. So the average house payment for that is anywhere from, and this includes tax, title, and your insurance. This includes everything, is around $2,200 to $2,600 a month, depending on many factors, how much you put down. So that's a big chunk. So here you have a car payment, rounded off at about $400, and then now we'll just say you have a house payment at about $2,500. Okay, so you're almost at $3,000 just for those. Then apartment rent, the average 2-bedroom is anywhere from $1,500 to $1,900 currently right now, and this is in Garland, Texas. Home rent for a home, and I saw a house and it was not nice. It was smaller than my house and it had one bathroom. They were trying to rent that puppy out for $2,200 a month. I could not believe it. And they have a bunch of road construction, and this place was not nice whatsoever. I can't imagine they rented it out, especially a 1-bathroom. That really surprised me. I could see a 2-bathroom. Now this next one, I've mentioned it before in other videos. I was shocked. I went and looked, and what I'm about to tell you, these companies want you to buy these 2 units together. But let me just share this. I live in Texas, in the suburb of Dallas, and 20 years ago, right around that amount, we bought a air conditioner, the condenser part, an air conditioning, not the heating unit, just the air conditioner. And it was right around $1,700 to $1,800. Now that's just for the outdoor compressor, not the heater inside. That same air conditioning unit costs right around, and this was just average. Now they have some that are lower, some that are higher, okay? But between $9,000 and $15,000. So we'll just say the average is right around $12,000. That is over a 700% increase in the last 20 years. The heating unit, because we had to purchase one, was right around $9,600 to $9,800. So we're going to say around $10,000, because it's gone up since then. So you're looking at, let's say your entire heating and air, the whole thing went out, you'd be spending around $22,000, and it may last 8 to 10 years. I'm not sure how people are doing it. The only way I'm thinking is people are just paying payments. They're just paying payments, and they're paying a lot of interest, because I don't know that many people that have $22,000 in their savings. So that's just my opinion. I noticed another thing. We have a lot of storms in our area, And I notice it. If I could own a company, I would be a tree surgeon, because there's so many people around here that could use tree work. And I've talked to some of the tree surgeons. They're like, I tell people they should get their trees cut back, and they say they can't afford it because hiring a tree surgeon is really expensive. So what I'm saying here is repairs. A lot of people cannot afford large repairs, and they try to get different quotes, and their quotes are different, and so they're not sure who to go with. And so with all their house payment being higher, and their insurance and taxes being higher, and all of that, and also having to pay a car payment, it's hard for them to save money for them to be able to pay all this stuff. And which brings me to insurances and taxes. So all of this can really add up. You know, I see all these videos about how to live off $2,000 or less. I definitely think it can be done, but you would have to be really creative. I've seen more and more people sharing vehicles, not owning vehicles, owning a home together. I've seen many people that are moving outside and moving to an area that's more affordable. There are states such as Kansas, Oklahoma, some places in Missouri, and I'm sure there's other places, share in the comments below, that you could maybe buy a more affordable home and live more affordably if you can. The only thing is, what kind of work can you get in the area? You know, so there's so many different factors to look at. But, you know, to me, some of these things, people are being outpriced, and I've kind of thought, what would I do? Now, luckily, so far, when we need a heating or air, what I end up doing is I'll buy the compressor part, air conditioning part first, and pay that off. And then a heater you don't have to replace as often, but I never buy those two things together, because I wouldn't be able to wipe out a whole savings. I would have a hard time paying $22,000 and paying cash for that, because I could try to get all my money together, but then you're left with nothing. And I don't know about you guys, I don't want to wipe out a savings. And I've heard a few other YouTube channels say this, and I agree, is that if you're having to pay such high prices for some of these things and it wipes out your savings, the big issue is it takes a long time to replace that savings. In other words, really, unless you really get creative with your finances, in my opinion, there's no way people can live off a lower income unless you move to a more affordable area, or you get creative, you share housing with others, you take in a boarder, you share your vehicle with others, or you don't have a car, or you don't drive a whole lot, things like that. So you can get creative. Maybe I know somebody that couldn't afford central air around here, and what they ended up doing, because they got quotes and they're like, I just can't afford the central air anymore, and their heater was fine. And so what they ended up doing is getting window units. They said, I know it doesn't look as nice, but it's what we can afford, and so people are just looking for alternatives. I think it's a struggle to do these things that I mentioned, but I think that we can start to get creative and look for what are alternatives to some of this. I'd love to hear about what you guys think about this topic in the comments below. I always love your opinion. What do you think about these prices, and what do you think are some alternatives to this? I'd love to hear about it. That's all I have to say, guys. I love you, appreciate you, and I hope to see you on tomorrow morning's video. Bye, everybody.